Una 2 giorni di simposio internazionale dedicato all'argomento principe di San Marino in questo periodo, ossia l'ufologia, anche se l'appuntamento è stato triplo: un simposio dedicato allo spazio, un simposio dedicato a testimonianze astronautiche nel lontano passato della civiltà umana, e poi chiaramente un simposio, il 30°, è un risultato storico dedicato all'ufologia in quanto tale, ma anche ai più alti livelli di relazione, perché sono stati ospiti relatori autorità e personalità praticamente da parte di tutto il mondo. Noi abbiamo in collegamento telefonico il presidente del Centro Ufologico Nazionale, Roberto Pinotti, che è stato supervisore e coordinatore di questo triplo evento, tra l'altro un evento che, quando è stato a fine giugno scorso ospite di persona negli studi degli Inascoltabili, ha annunciato in anteprima. Ora, a giochi fatti, chiediamo, dando il benvenuto a Roberto Pinotti, cosa lascia questo triplo simposio, che cosa è maturato, quali sono stati i punti salienti, e questo che cosa può significare magari anche a livello istituzionale di qui in avanti.
E buongiorno innanzitutto, benvenuto.
Allora, buongiorno a tutti e grazie. Allora, diciamo che questo simposio indubbiamente, è un traguardo perché, oltre che essere la più vecchia manifestazione pubblica annuale nella Repubblica di San Marino, si tratta anche della più vetusta manifestazione di questo genere che si riscontra nel mondo, solo in combin con un'analoga manifestazione negli Stati Uniti, ma sono sempre 30 anni, quindi è un bel risultato. Poi, tra l'altro, c'è da dire che questo risultato è sempre stato sotto l'egida di un governo, quindi è importante, anche se è il governo di una piccola repubblica che è stata fondata nel 301 d.C. e che da allora è indicata come la più antica repubblica del mondo dopo la Repubblica Romana. Detto questo, noi ci siamo sforzati in questi 3 decenni di presentare l'ufologia in termini estremamente concreti, seri, obiettivi, documentati, e questo è stato sicuramente premiante per noi, perché non solo siamo stati sempre immancabilmente presi sul serio, come era ovvio, ma abbiamo portato a San Marino tutti praticamente, autorità anche italiane. Per la prima volta nel 2000, ricordo, l'aeronautica militare italiana è venuta a relazionare in divisa su quello che succede in Italia in questo campo a livello istituzionale, cioè statale, cosa impensabile. Poi diciamo che, a parte le personalità di tutti i tipi che si sono avvicendate, scienziati, scrittori, chiunque praticamente poteva dare un contributo positivo a livello mondiale su questo tema, quest'anno l'oggetto di questo incontro era appunto dalle rivelazioni del Pentagono alle Nazioni Unite. Perché questo? Perché chiaramente quest'anno è stato un evento storico, quello che abbiamo vissuto il 25 di giugno scorso. Il Pentagono, autosmentendosi, perché questo è importante, e confermando completamente quello che era già stato anticipato nel 2018 in un convegno che abbiamo fatto a Roma con una importante personalità del Pentagono, Luis Elizondo, ha ammesso ufficialmente che il fenomeno UFO esiste, che il fenomeno UFO è oggettivo, che il fenomeno UFO è tecnologico, cioè sono macchine, che il fenomeno UFO è intelligente e che non si sa quale sia la sua origine. Di conseguenza esso in qualche modo ha a che vedere per forza con la difesa, bisogna che ci se ne occupi, ed è quello che gli Stati Uniti intendono fare. Quindi in pratica il tema è stato totalmente sdoganato. Chi se ne occupava e chi se ne occupa di punto in bianco non è più un soggetto strano, insolito, fantasioso, ma un ricercatore, uno scienziato, uno studioso serio, che chiaramente oggi si può permettere il lusso di trattare gli scettici e gli ignoranti in questo campo come gente che non ha più diritto di esprimersi, perché le opinioni, anche se sbagliate, sono e restano opinioni, i fatti restano fatti. Quindi questo è molto importante, e in questo simposio ci siamo preoccupati anche attraverso il sodalizio internazionale che è nato poco tempo fa, e cioè l'ICER, l'International Coalition Center for Extraterrestrial Research, di cui tra l'altro mi è stata affidata la presidenza, che è un ente che riunisce una trentina di paesi attraverso chiaramente vari esperti, vari studiosi, e che si preoccupa appunto in primis di portare il tema ovunque a livello istituzionale. Di conseguenza è chiaro che il tema è stato: perché non portare questo non solo a livello istituzionale nei vari paesi, ma fino alla massima organizzazione mondiale, l'ONU. Quindi questo è stato l'oggetto dell'incontro, e questo è auspicabile che possa domani avvenire. Noi abbiamo dopo il congresso presentato un progetto al governo di San Marino, chiedendo al governo di San Marino di attivare una procedura attraverso la propria rappresentanza all'ONU per fare in modo di trasformare questo incontro mondiale che si verifica da 30 anni a San Marino come un servizio per le Nazioni Unite. In altri termini, trasformare il tutto in un congresso annuale mondiale teso a documentare al mondo intero gli sviluppi sul tema appunto degli oggetti volanti non identificati. Non sappiamo ovviamente se questo poi si concretizzerà o meno, ma era un passo sicuramente importante da fare. L'abbiamo fatto, ora non dipende più del tutto da noi.
Presidente, è stato ospite d'onore al Simposio di Ufologia anche Luis Elizondo, che è tra coloro che ha permesso che da 3 anni a questa parte stia cambiando anche l'approccio istituzionale e governativo alla materia. Che cosa ha detto di importante Elizondo durante questi 2 giorni di lavori?
Elizondo è stato intanto molto tecnico, perché praticamente ci ha dimostrato nella relazione che ha fatto che, come è ovvio, non soltanto il tema degli UFO va affrontato con un'ottica ben precisa, quella concreta, tanto per capirci dadi e bulloni, come suol dirsi, no? Perché è un fenomeno fisico, reale, tangibile e quant'altro, ma che esistono già tecnologie avanzate per poter identificare meglio di quanto non sia possibile comunemente il fenomeno. Ci sono effettivamente oggi a disposizione di, come dire, strutture di intelligenza artificiale, come dire, metodologie e possibilità di identificare tutto. Per esempio, da una fotografia si può capire veramente di che si tratta, no? Cioè, che cos'è? Un uccello? È un effetto ottico? È un oggetto mal visto e che sembra quello che non è? Beh, questa intelligenza artificiale preposta a questo sistema identificativo lo consente. Viceversa, esso è in grado anche di identificare i veri UFO. Quindi in sostanza sarà forse possibile sfrondare, come dire, il problema dalle cose che non sono UFO, ma evidenziare ancora di più effettivamente il fenomeno. Quindi questo è molto importante, anche perché d'ora in poi bisogna, cioè non si può più scherzare, d'ora in poi bisogna avere a che fare col fenomeno per quale esso è davvero.
Okay, now that I look really small in that camera, I'm going to put my old man glasses on. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Sure. So Lou, how is San Marino treating you up until now?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I just mentioned this place is truly picturesque. This is something out of a fairy tale book. San Marino is this little, it's first of all one of the world's oldest standing republics in the world still. It's this cute little gem of a town perched way up high in the mountains here in Italy, and it's its own country, you know, very much like the Vatican.
They even have their own football team, and my country, we played them. But yeah,
Really?
Yeah. But San Marino, there is a reason why you are here, and what are you doing here? Please share with the audience.
Well, Max, I'm here for the same reason you are, and that is to further the conversation and to gain more information, and be able to hopefully take a conversation that has been over the last 3 years really, at least in my country, kind of I hate to say an American thing, because it's not an American thing, but you know, I live in America, so right, that's all I'm kind of inundated by, and really help make this conversation the global conversation that it should be. And being here with organizations like the CUN, I am amazed and humbled by the participation here. There are scientists, there are academics here, there are government officials here, all of them wanting to have a conversation about this. I had the honor and privilege just now to speak with a very senior individual in the military. I won't say who just yet, but
I was witness to that. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's riveting, and it's this person is not alone. There's other senior military people that are now coming out of the shadows and having this conversation.
Can I give a little tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
You didn't say it then, right?
No, I didn't say it.
I said it. So there's this military Italian gentleman. He's retired, and let's say there's more than a handful of Italian military pilot eyewitnesses to UAP, and he can't wait to share this with Lou and you guys.
And by the way, senior military officer, like really senior, and his colleagues are even more senior. So it's fantastic. It looks like the ice is finally breaking, and that people are feeling comfortable to have the conversation. Again, you had aeronautical specialists and engineers today at the conference talking about the possibility of life in our solar system and in our universe, right? And so this isn't a UFO conference. Let me make that clear, because a lot of people think, oh, you're there to attend a UFO conference. No, it's not. It's actually a scientific conference that is sponsored by the CUN. Forgive that noise. We are at a kind of an open area here. So you'll hear motorcycles driving by and cars, and sometimes people, saying hello. It's amazing, because 3 years ago, I never would have imagined coming to a place like this. And frankly, I thought I'd been thrown out of on my ear, right? Saying, what are you talking to us about? And yet here we are having a sane, rational conversation with scientists and academics and government officials about the possibility of life in our solar system, a real scientific conversation. And this thing is going for 3 days. We're going to have a conversation tomorrow with military eyewitnesses to UAPs. We're going to talk about the notion of UAPs itself and the impact it has to not just Italy and San Marino, but Europe and quite possibly the world. It's very encouraging, and it reminds me of what we have in this social media arena, on the YouTube channel, on UFO Twitter, is this sincere desire to learn more and to engage and to collaborate. Ultimately, I think at the end of the day, this has been a wonderful experiment in collaboration. I hope this happens every year. And if it does, I would recommend anybody who's got a piggy bank, whatever you got to do to get on an airplane and get over here and attend, you should. It's great.
Now, Lou, you just said it's a scientific symposium. Scientists are here, and we're talking about the possibility of ET life or, life beyond Earth. Now,
and media, let's not forget, there's a huge media presence here.
Definitely.
So,
one of them.
Yep, you are, and there's a large number of very reputable journalists as well, from the Italian side of the house and San Marino and some other places. So, you are very much part of that conversation from a media perspective.
Sure.
And ultimately, I think media has just as much to do with taking credit for where we are today in this conversation.
Yes,
we would not be here if it wasn't for media. And the most important part of that equation is you folks out there that are part of this grassroots effort. And by the way, if you don't think it's important, there's going to be a briefing tomorrow specifically about this grassroots effort that you all are part of, that you all are making happen, making a reality. So my hat's, well, I'm not wearing a hat, but if I was wearing a hat, my hat's off to you. Yes, I know I got a text here about my hair. What can I say?
I like the hair.
It is what it is. So
a gentleman, he was about to trip over a wire. But Lou, let me ask you. What to me is very, very important is that the scientists are now pulling their weight. Now, we've talked about this earlier today. You're sitting on some classified information. So how important to you is it, taking into account the knowledge you cannot share with us, the general public, that these scientists are now investigating ET life or the theory of ET life?
Great question, Max. I think if the scientists and the academics do their job, I don't need to have a classified conversation, because classified information is really only as good as the sources that were used to collect the information. And at the end of the day, we can have the best data in the world that's classified, and this may not get us any closer to understanding what this phenomenon really is. And so I think opening up the aperture and bringing in these renowned scientists and academics to have this conversation really in a serious way, that's where we're going to find the answers. That's when we are going to finally understand what's going on. Classified information is helpful to tell you what's out there, but it doesn't tell you who and why and where or anything like that. It's just a moment in space-time saying this occurred, right? So ultimately, it's going to be up to other people to have this conversation. And this is why I said before, this is not a government-only thing. I don't think we should be looking to the government to answer, at least certainly not the U.S. government, to have all the answers. I think those answers are going to be found in places like this, in these enclaves, and frankly, even on your YouTube program.
Definitely. So Lou, I know you don't have a lot of time, so without grinding you on trying to get the information from you, I just want to know, you've been through a rough period, personally, but also within your position, and people trying to downplay or discredit you. Can you maybe tell us, how the hell are you right now?
Max, I'm doing very well. I'm doing well considering. I'll tell you, part of that is because of a lot of the support I get from folks like you. Also, it's mostly because of my family, my kids and my wife, who've been supporting me through this. Which, by the way, I'm going to do a very quick shout out. I know I'm probably going to get in trouble by a significant friend of his, but Max is here today with a very lovely friend of his. It's not my place to go much into it, but it's because of the support of folks like that that help us do what we're doing. Obviously, as a journalist, Max, you're taking just as much risk as I'm taking by having a conversation like this. I know a lot of people probably in your country think you're crazy.
Yep.
I think that's beginning to start to change, but I also know that you wouldn't be able to do what you do if it wasn't for the support you have. So
That's you guys.
You guys, and someone's sitting right over there that's off camera. But just want to do a quick shout out, because hey man, I'd be long gone if it wasn't for my support mechanism at home, which is my incredible wife.
We have a warrior right here.
We do.
Lou, you've been through a rough time. You got out of it. Well, you look very healthy and strong. By the way, this guy is made of concrete.
He says that to all the girls. No way.
No.
Look, cameras don't lie. I can see myself.
This guy is made of concrete, I tell you. But anyways, Mr. Elizondo, what can we expect from? Because there's a lot going on right here in San Marino. There are going to be new things going on. So there is something in the works right here in San Marino, and I don't know if you can already tell us a little bit about this, but this might be a very important place, maybe.
Yeah, I have to be very careful, not because it's classified, but because other parties are involved. So we have to give them time. We have some very important meetings while we're here, Max, as you know. Hopefully by the end of this very short trip for me, we'll have some new announcements for you folks out there. Again, don't want to get anybody prematurely get your hopes up. Things are looking very good, but needs time. Think of new opportunities for worldwide collaboration. And I'll leave it at
Remember,
that.
he was talking about scientists and media, and just remember San Marino. You might want to look it up on a map. Let's talk. Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, if you get a chance to come out here, maybe we'll do a better job next time. If we turn this into some sort of I don't know, maybe annual thing. And by the way, not a conference, right? We're talking about a real change agent, something that is not that conferences aren't, but really a mechanism to drive the global conversation that all of us can be part of, right? It's not just a bunch of guys like me in a suit, right, going up and talking behind closed doors, but you are part of that conversation. You're in the room with us and contributing to the conversation in a very meaningful way. So those are some of the things we're working on.
So I can't refuse to ask you one last, I think, very important question.
I am a Gemini, and I like long walks on the beach and drinking,
all right.
drinking pina coladas.
I wasn't going to talk about that, Lou. No. So where are we standing with the Inspector General and the UAP Task Force? Because we don't hear a lot from that anymore. And I think people want to know, is there something, is it still moving?
Of course it is. I've said this before. This conversation is a lot like a submarine. Most of the work is done below the waves. You don't see it. But make no mistake, it's there. I think you got a little bit of a taste of that today when we had a chance to talk and kind of give you an update of where we are. That will be made public at some point soon. So don't worry. I'm not giving him privileged information and not telling anybody else. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. And I think the IG evaluation is very well underway. They've talked to a lot of people already because those people have talked to me. Mm-hmm. I have full faith and confidence that they are doing what's necessary to in the betterment of this topic. And then as far as where are we with the overall government piece and the UAP task force, it's going quite well. It's going very well. And my hope is that some of the briefing slides that I'm providing later on can be released to the open, to you folks, and you all can be the judge. There's a lot that we accomplished over the last 3 years, but there's just as much that's actually going on right now behind the scenes.
Now, one last question. Is the IG looking at Europe now too?
I can't speak on behalf of the IG. What I can say is that the IG is casting a very wide net, trying to collect as much information and data as they can. I think there's Congress is putting a mandate out rather than a report coming out every 180 days. Every 90 days. Okay. Yes. That's significant. There's a reason why people say, well, the 180-day report didn't say anything. But it wasn't necessarily designed to say anything. It was designed to do something, not say something. Right. And it absolutely accomplished that mission. Now, what was once a 180-day report is going to be every 90 days. And oh, by the way, there's a mandate. Whatever wasn't reported before now has to be included in the 90-day report. So guess what? There's going to be a lot of information and a lot of reports coming up. So I think that is a in itself, I think is a remarkable milestone in this topic of UAPs.
Okay, so let's summarize a little bit what happened the last year. So it started with a lot of media exposure. You were, of course, talking to a lot of the small guys like me and Vinny.
Don't say small, man. You saw who was in that. You saw who was in that room a few moments ago. I mean, that was big, as big as it gets. Media, So you're sharing that same space.
Sure. But if we summarize the last year, do you think? How do you see the development UAP disclosure has manifested itself in those months?
Oh my goodness, it's a totally different animal. There are people that stop me on the street and say, I had my own encounter. Literally the night before I flew here, I was stopped by somebody who said, "Hey, you're not going to believe this. There was an incident in 1975, and here's the newspaper clipping, and I was there for it, and provided the full details. And the person has agreed to allow me to not only talk to that individual." And get this individual on the record, but other people who were involved, and potentially some never before seen actual high resolution photos. Now, don't want to make any promises. It's not up to me, but these are some of the things we're working on to try to present in the public sphere. So that's just an example of how disclosure has changed in the last year. People are wanting to participate. Senior military officers, former military officers, and former intelligence officials, current government officials are all now testing the waters and wanting to come out and speak on the record. You saw in that interview room down there who was being interviewed. I mean, it's pretty, it ain't no joke.
Yes, and I think there's a little bit more. Let's say there's let's say we are not hesitating anymore about let's say exotic material being recovered. There's much more let go. How do you look at that, sir?
Well, I think clearly when other countries come out and start sharing information, we need to pay attention. That's a game changer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's no longer just a U.S. narrative. It's now a little bit bigger.
Which is actually very good for you because you can talk about non-U.S. narrative.
I can.
Can we talk about non-U.S. narrative a little bit?
Sure. To a point, yeah.
So, what to you was the most interesting non-U.S. narrative you've heard up until now? We can talk about.
Well, certainly the allegation that recovered material isn't just a U.S. hypothesis. It's other countries have dealt with the same topic, and I think that revelation, as it matures and becomes made more public, is going to be, it's going to change the calculus considerably.
Yeah, I think that's a big paradigm shift because now, also, of course, the science they can collab, and maybe governments would even be willing to collab with science. Do you think there will be a real collaboration between multiple governments and multiple scientists from multiple countries?
It has to be. There's no way around it. It has to be done that way. I don't think we can evolve the conversation to where it needs to be without that occurring. And I honestly, I think it's starting to occur, like for real, between what's happening with Professor Avi Loeb and some of these other scientists back where in my country, and now what I'm seeing here. I mean, look, I met today a about as senior as it gets scientist from a certain nation who's also a very senior government official, and they're attending this conference. So that is an indicator that countries now are really beginning to pay attention to this topic. I mean, like seriously now begin to invest time and resources.
I think this country you're talking about looks very close to San Marino.
It is, in fact, it's close to a lot of countries here. There's a lot of interest. Again, I have to be careful because boy, you sure know how to make me squirm, don't you? Well, that's all, folks.
Okay. So last question, and then I'll leave you alone.
By the way, here in Italy, they have some of the most fantastic wine. No offense to my French brothers and sisters, you do too.
We're not in Italy. We're in San Marino.
You're correct. We're in San Marino. So I'm going to partake and try some of the wine here. I will let you know how it is. I think it's well deserved. I want to try it. Certainly compared to the wine that I have available to me, I would be a fool not to take advantage of it. So I am going to do that later this evening.
Very last question. NATO, the European Union. What is going down, Lou? Because I picked something up.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Something that hasn't been discussed publicly. You're right. There is, there's a lot of opportunity, and I think there's some individuals who are now having this conversation. It might, I'm sure it's not public yet, but I'm I don't know how much longer it'll be where it won't be made public. That's not up to me. But look, we haven't made this a secret. We need international cooperation. I've said this before that we're making a mistake that if this is a U.S. led initiative, it shouldn't be. We can help start the conversation, but we're not going to finish it. And I've said publicly too that this should never be a single nation narrative. That's very important because this topic, Max, involves all of us.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Lucy Mines because in the Big Phone Home Part 2, he actually wanted you guys to approach your state officials, but for us Europeans, same thing. Write NATO. Write the EU, write your officials in the UK, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in France.
And the United Nations.
And the United Nations. Listen to Lou, not me, listen to him. So, guys, we are involved in disclosure like you don't even imagine. It's you guys who are looking at this. It's you guys who are making the difference. I shouldn't even say this. This guy knows much better than I do.
No, you're absolutely right, Max. I mean, it's true. People, this is not just frivolous, eyewash and attaboys. He's absolutely right. This is people are having the conversation because of you. It is the amount of influence you have on this discussion is truly asymmetric. It is exponential. People are listening. In fact, a lot of them are tuning into social media more than they are the actual media. So and they're looking now. They get interested. They see something on the news and they're turning to the YouTubes and the Twitters of the world and the Instagrams for their source of information. That's unheard of. I mean, that honestly, that may never have even been the case even 3 years ago for any topic, and yet. When I was talking to some very, very senior media people here just not too long ago, a few minutes ago, they said, hey, I can't believe, nobody was taking this seriously. Now they're getting their information. Most of their information on this topic is coming from you, not me anymore. It's coming from you. So that's a paradigm shift yet again. And I've always said, that the influence that you have cannot be overstated. Well, that was proven yet again to me and in front of Max here today. They are turning to you for information. So my recommendation, please remain diligent, remain patient. Let's remain focused on the issue. Let's not let anybody drive the narrative and steal the narrative. This is a topic that belongs to all of us. So let's make sure we do our best and not let anybody steal it away from us. But the momentum is real. It's real.
And it's now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yep.
And I can be witness to that. There's a lot going on right now. And guys, I want to give a shout out to my friends, Vinny Adams, Sean Raj, Christina Gomez, Lucy Mines. Yep. Christina, that's got a weak point.
Yeah, we got, you ladies are doing a killer job out there. So big shout out to her and also Jimenez and everybody else out there and the Signal and everybody.
Dan, of course, can't forget about him. And everyone who is pulling their weight. So Lou, is there anything you can elaborate on we can expect from you in the near future?
Yes. I think expect more details, more fidelity on where we're going. We're all on this boat together. We're all rowing in the same direction. It's a beautiful thing. We're beginning to really, put some distance. I think, and I said this before, I think we're closer now to our destination than the home port we left, which is in itself a major milestone. It's a major achievement. I didn't think we would get to that, honestly, in my lifetime, and here we are. And with what we heard today, I think it's only going to continue to gain momentum.
Yeah. So, guys, a lot of people feel safe now to come out with their story. I'm not going to tell who it is. It will be clear later. So, by the way, I can't take very much more time of this great man right here because, he's been doing interviews all day, doing talks all day. He needs to eat and rest. But
mostly eat.
Yeah.
and eat.
Pasta.